Good morning. Today is Wednesday, July 3rd, and this is Devotions from St. Paul Evangelical Lutheran Church in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. I'm going to take a passage today from Mark's Gospel. And Jesus is going to perform healing, but it's got some interesting conversation in it. Now, just to set the scene, this is immediately after the Transfiguration. And Jesus is coming back to the bulk of his disciples with Peter and James and John. So this is from the 9th chapter of Mark's Gospel. When they came to the disciples, they saw a great crowd around them and some scribes arguing with them. When the whole crowd saw him, they were immediately overcome with awe, and they ran forward to greet him. He asked them, "What are you arguing about with them?" Someone from the crowd answered, "Teacher, I brought you my son. He has a spirit that makes him unable to speak, and whenever it seizes him, it dashes him down, and he foams and grinds his teeth and becomes rigid. And I asked your disciples to cast it out, but they could not do so." Jesus answered them, "You faithless generation, how much longer must I be among you? How much longer must I put up with you? Bring him to me." And they brought the boy to him. And when the spirit saw him, immediately he convulsed the boy, and he fell on the ground and rolled around, foaming at the mouth. Jesus asked the father, "How long has this been happening to him?" And he answered, "From childhood. It has often cast him into the fire and into the water to destroy him. But if you are able to do anything, have pity on us and help us." Jesus said to the father, "If you are able, all things can be done for the one who believes." Immediately the father of the child cried out, "I believe. Help my unbelief." When Jesus saw that a crowd came running together, he rebuked the unclean spirit, saying, "You spirit that keeps the boy from speaking and hearing, I command you, come out of him and never enter him again." After crying out and convulsing him terribly, it came out, and the boy was like a corpse, so that most of them said, "He is dead." But Jesus took him by the hand and lifted him up, and he was able to stand. And when he entered the house, his disciples asked him privately, "Why could we not cast it out?" And he said to him, "This kind can only come out through prayer." Jesus did a lot of healing when he was here doing his ministry, and this is one time. But like so many other times, this is a time when he could do it, but the disciples could not seem to. And Jesus spoke about why that was, and he says, "It's because you're unbelieving." He said that to the Father as well. And the Father's response, "I believe, help my unbelief," speaks volumes to me about this whole idea of belief. Jesus said specifically, anything can be done for the one who believes. And this was the response. So as I think about this, the response speaks to me. I believe in Jesus. I believe that Jesus is the Messiah. I believe that Jesus died for my sins. I believe that Jesus is God, part of the triune. I believe that Jesus has the power to do all the things that he said and that he did, and that we have record of. But my problem the same as the disciples, the same as this father, was, I don't feel that I have that same power. And yet that's what Jesus seems to say. In another passage in the Gospels, Jesus was walking on the water to the boat where the disciples were, and they saw him, and they were frightened. But when he identified himself, Peter challenged him, and he says, "If it is you, Lord, command me to walk on the water out to you." And so Jesus did that. And as Peter was walking out on the water, he was doing just fine when his eyes were on Jesus. But as soon as he looked elsewhere, it dawned on him that he was a mortal. He can't walk on water. And so he began to sink. Now, that doesn't make any sense because he was doing it. He was believing in Jesus as long as he focused on Jesus. And he was walking on the water. But as soon as he had doubt in his mind, he started to sink. Now, of course, Jesus saved him. I think we all have this issue. And we all count on Jesus. And we all believe in Jesus. But we doubt what we can do in the name and in the power of Jesus. And the truth is, I don't know what to do about that because I know I'm guilty of that. But I also know that Jesus calls on me to be better than that, calls on all of us to be better than that, and to believe in him and believe in the power that we have because we believe in him. Now, all the things that he expects to do or expects us to do are really him doing, but doing because we believe and have the faith and the trust in him that he will do what we ask. I think the last comments that Jesus had for his disciples after he healed this boy, that this could only be done through prayer, throwing out this kind of a spirit, is interesting. Because it doesn't say anywhere in here that Jesus prayed. But I think that every time that Jesus spoke, he did so with the Father's backing. And I think that's what he calls us for, is to do so knowing that we have his backing. I would commend this 9th chapter of Mark to your reading. I think it's powerful. I think it's something that challenges us in our faith, and particularly in the way we perform and act out our faith. This is important. It's important that we believe in Jesus, but it's important that we act out in that faith as well. The 9th chapter. Thank you.